it, but he'd appreciate it if we record it. So we're recording that so we could put it up on YouTube later on, and people could reference that. All right. Or you guys could reference our mistakes later on and say, listen to this, that was so ridiculous.
Or reflect back to say how brilliant we were in seeing into the future, or how crazy we were to predict things that never came to be, one way or the other.
Yeah.
In fact, speaking of how quickly things change, Thomas and I, as we were testing things, were reflecting on, there was that thing that was like the biggest thing ever that everybody had to have a couple of years ago. And as we were scratching our heads, it eventually came Treehouse. If you remember, that was like the platform that was going to change the world.
It's not Treehouse. It's not. Does it? All right.
Clubhouse.
Huh?
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse.
That was it. That was it.
I loved Clubhouse.
I
really
did.
did.
Robert's memory.
You earned the first star of the day because you nailed.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, I'm texting a couple of more that I know wanted to be here, and we will get moving in another, what do you think, minute, Thomas?
Yep, another minute. That's be good.
Here we go.
God, Clubhouse. They were a unicorn for what? A month, 3 months, and then they just dropped out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they kept changing their premise, and every time they did that, they would gain a bunch of users, and then there'd be a lot of abuse on the system, and then they'd lose a lot of users, and then they just completely retransformed into something I don't recognize sometime back in February, I think. But.
That's the desperation. I remember I hosted one Clubhouse. And it could happen today, so let's throw it out there. Hosted one Clubhouse, and at the very end we went to Q&A. Says, anybody have a question? Some guy logged in, and it sounded like he was riding on the back of a motorcycle. He goes, can I ask a question? And he said, yeah, go right ahead, please. Man, he started cursing my mother, my grandmother, told me to, and then he hung up, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
there needs to be some filters built into Clubhouse.
So with that, we will have an open discussion. Hopefully no one is going to curse anyone else's relatives or anything else, but we do invite disagreement and debate and different points of view. But Thomas, since you were the inviter, we should let you officially kick us off.
Absolutely. I'll go do that right now. So welcome everyone to our session. Jennifer and I are very excited. We both work in the space and with leaders and executives all over the world, talking to them, and we have so much information gathered that we thought, let's come together and host this LinkedIn event and share it with all of you. And what we want to do is we want to look out towards 2024 and beyond. And we're going to, we're going to start with Jennifer sharing her perspective. She has some slides. She'll do some storytelling. This is all about storytelling and then interactive Q&A. And then I'm going to have some slides, and I'm going to share some stories and perspectives of where we're going. One thing we would love is, as I was saying a moment ago, if you have any questions, of course, you can put it in the chat if you want to, if you don't want to interrupt. But I always love telling my audience, be like a New Yorker, because I'm from New York. And you have the right to be rude and interrupt me right in the middle of my sentence. I take that like you're giving me a big hug. So you have 100% permission to interrupt us, because this is all for you. So all the information we have, I mean, what we're going to present is only like that small of all the knowledge we have. So feel free. This is open conversation. So with that, Jennifer, take it away. And again, thanks all of you for prioritizing your time. And I hope we do a good job.
Thank you. So as some of you know, I am from Silicon Valley, and I will get this started at the beginning, and consider myself a liaison and a bridge of bringing Silicon Valley ideas to Europe and helping people around the world integrate change and make a very good opportunity for growth out of it. Now, I realize in some parts of the world, such as Norway, where I'm sitting, when I talk about the new reality and the future and AI and how cool it is, I realize there are some people that want to just simply hide under the covers. And I also realize that for all of us around the world, we have admittedly gone through a lot of change. More has happened to us as a society, more transformation in business, life, the way we look at things, the way we look at work in the last 4 years than ever before. And during that period, we have all digitalized. Every part of our life is built on an aspect of technology. Studies show digitalization happened 300,000 times faster during 2020 than any other year. As we digitalized, we created data. Now, in Silicon Valley, we've been working with data and machine learning for the last 20 years. AI is not a new concept in our views. However, the amount of data that was amassed during this period of digitalization was a huge contributing factor to the data lakes. Taking the pictures, taking the videos, taking the reenaction of our lives as we've lived them in the physical world and bringing it into digitalization gave Facebook, Google, Microsoft much richer information to work with and advanced the need for compute power. Specific chips designed by NVIDIA specifically to nail down AI and how it can process machine learning much more quickly than ever before. Quantum computing, that was something that was looked at as 2040, 2050, is now being utilized within Google, within Amazon. So the power and the speed of technology has grown exponentially, allowing for a lot more collaboration in the research institutions, in the labs such as OpenAI, in the big corporates, to build much more complexity into the algorithms. That is what led to the birth date less than a year ago. We're still 2 days before the year of ChatGPT that grew faster than anything that we have ever seen in technology.
His birthday was actually November 30th, really?
Exactly.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Less than a year ago.
Oh.
At that time, you were not hearing every other conversation talking about AI. There was no ChatGPT in any dialogue. But through the power of the data that had been amassed, through the increased use of compute power, through the digitalization that had occurred over the last years, this hit like nothing else. And at very good time, when all organizations were struggling with how can we keep up with increasing workload, increasing customer demand just coming out of the pandemic. So ChatGPT went from an idea in a research lab to launched to mainstream in a matter of months. And today is no longer this fancy new technology. It is part of the core of every tool that we use. Some form of a generative AI, not necessarily ChatGPT that you go into from OpenAI, but the algorithms as well as the APIs are now embedded into Microsoft Copilot, used daily in Google, used in all of the tools that we're working with. That's what's powering the AI companion that we're using here today. This was a true paradigm shift because it was so easy to use and built based upon data of how we live our lives, that it's very natural for us. But what does this really mean for business leaders? It means an opportunity. And today, 91 to 95% of CEOs are betting on a form of AI to really take them into the future. Oops, hit that too quickly. AI is not only improving speed, but improving performance and quality. And so if you look at the ways that this is being utilized, we can drill down a bit more on the realities. So the first low-hanging fruit, if you will, for corporates' use of AI is more productivity. Instead of a writer taking a blank piece of paper and starting an article or a blog post, go into ChatGPT, put in a few keywords, and you get a starting place. Adobe Firefly, instead of using hours searching for the exact right image to convey something, you simply go into Firefly, describe what you want, you have it. Huge time savings at the low levels. Now, from our experience, and those that have some background noise, you may want to put on mute just to keep us talking.
Steve, I think it's your microphone. Would you mind muting your microphone, please?
Sure.
Thank you. In a number of organizations that I'm working with today, when you bring up AI and generative AI, the answer might officially be, we don't allow use of that in our company. What I personally have found in working with them, while individuals and employees are not using company data when going into a ChatGPT, the employees are using ChatGPT to get inspiration. So instead of taking the company strategy, typing it into OpenAI and saying, summarize this, because that would be kind of stupid, really. Instead of doing that, intelligently, people are saying, dear OpenAI, I need to have a 15-page document summarized into a one-page executive summary, and it needs to look like this. How would I go about that? The trick to effectively increasing productivity with a generative AI is how you ask the questions and the data that you share with it. So the second way that organizations are really increasing effectiveness is using their own internal form of a generative AI, or using a specific tool that is created for their purpose for automating processes, for example. One of our clients is an AI company that has built a set of tools designed and trained specifically for processing claims in insurance. So in the past, if you had insurance policy, you had a car accident, you sent all of these documents to the insurance agent, they had to read everything, they had to match everything, and it could take weeks to get back to you. AI can be trained to easily take documents, look at what the value should be, look at what the price point should be, look at, do you have a policy, and make decisions. In the 10% of cases where the decisions fall outside of what it's been trained on, that can go to the customer service person that then gets in touch with you, giving customer service a real name of serving the ones where it's needed, quick, simple, within minutes, as opposed to days or weeks, processing of claims. AI can be trained to predict what is the likelihood of this person having a car accident with this car, and what is the value. So enhancing the effectiveness typically comes from purpose-built tools. Or organizations can look at AI as a way of actually moving ahead by building solutions around an AI component or an AI base. I mentioned Adobe. they have a tool that they've used for years called Sensi that is an AI base. Combine generative AI capabilities with Sensi, with a large bank of data from Adobe stock, and you have Firefly, a very simple tool that anybody can go into and describe, this is what I want an image for, and it creates it. So there's really three ways that companies can use AI today. The simple, productivity, thinking of processes that are tedious, manual, that can be easily trained as an AI specific capability, or where you can really build your solution around it. So through building greater solutions around AI, companies are getting actually higher bottom line earnings growth through AI solutions, greater productivity, and I believe through automating the basic jobs, greater workforce advantages. Because let's face it, how many people in the insurance business really liked sitting and reading claims and matching them to market rates?
Oh my
Technology.
There's always somebody, Jennifer. There's always somebody.
There's always one in any crowd, but ultimately, technology is a tool to free people from what they did not want to do, allowing them to be more creative. If you look at the predictions in the job market, there's actually more jobs to be available in the next 5 to 10 years than there are people. And the predominant skills that are needed are the human skills. The more we leverage AI to do the basics, the more capacity we have to think. And the more powerful that the technology and the AI and the tools become, the more important it is for us to really think through using our critical thinking, discerning what is right, what is wrong, using our human capacity for empathy, for making those judgment calls, for having that customer service communication when the tool cannot solve the problem because it doesn't fit into the box. We as people can think outside the box, and that's where we can really be leveraged. So if you look at the numbers in a recent study from McKinsey, there is going to be growth in jobs, in business, significant growth in jobs, in training and reskilling people to think differently, while there is definitely a need for continued development of technical savviness, because we truly are in a new paradigm. And if you think that the last few years have been interesting, challenging, tiring as we've gone through this change, or if you think they've been very exhilarating, it's going to continue. The investments in technology are accelerating at an exponential rate. And that's not just AI. That's applying AI into robotics. That's Web3, a whole new infrastructure of an internet that will give us a much stronger security base that will work with quantum computing 100,000 times faster than what we have in our realities today. That again is already being used in some of the labs and within Google and Amazon. The real power will be when all of this comes together, which is what I would predict in the next 2 to 5 years, we're going to start seeing new solutions coming from the integration of the various technologies. So a year ago, we were surprised when ChatGPT came from nowhere. Over the next year, I believe we're going to start to see that being the basis with these other capabilities added on top, which will give us a much stronger future of society where education can move from children or college students or people in corporations sitting and listening to people talk, but to learning by doing, to experiencing, to having that real world, hands-on life training. Healthcare can go from trial and error to see what medicine, what formula, what treatment will work with this DNA of person in this location. Let's use AI intelligently in order to predict how a particular body type and DNA will react to these things. Communities will be more important than ever, because as we become more technically astute, the more we appreciate one another. Manufacturing will free people from doing the tedious and allow the minds to really think through the processes and the efficiency and new ways of creating new solutions. Maintenance will no longer require people to be in dangerous situations to fix something on the North Sea platform or in a mine, but will be something done from digital twins. So technology will free people from what we, admittedly, most of us have not really wanted to do, to give us much more opportunity. The difference between those who succeed and those who are left behind, because I do believe there will be some left behind, the difference is not education, it's not access to resources, it's not richness. The difference, I believe, is in mindset. There are those that will say, yeah, that's all kind of good, but let's put our heads down and do what we need to do and follow our 2-year plan, and we'll get to that AI thing another day. And then there are those that have what I call the Silicon Valley mindset of, yes, we need to do what is on our plate right now, but if we do it in a new way, if we think about integrating a little bit of this, if we think about safely using ChatGPT to generate ideas, it can be even greater. So I believe 2024 will be a huge opportunity for growth, but it's all about mindset and leaning in and trying things. It's small wins. Don't go double down on any particular tool and risk your life for it. Try it, explore it, look at what the result is. If it works, try it again. Take it one step at a time, because we are in a marathon of change, a marathon of building and co-creating a new future. And we can only do that one tiny sprint at a time. I'm sure somebody has arguing points or debate points to all of that.
I'll give it a.
Thank you for the thumb, Boris.
I'll chime in. So I think that I'm one of these people who's very optimistic about AI, but I also worry about all the ethical sides of it and the fact that the dark side, to put it mildly, is way advanced on technology, will always grab technology first to further their negative societal interests. And it takes a long time for the positives to actually, oh, this is great. Let's do. How do we look at that and balance that as we're moving forward? How do we encourage the not dark side, the neutral or positive sides, to really embrace this and to embrace the ethics and the security required for AI?
Yes, I have a couple of viewpoints on that. Firstly, AI, like anything, is simply a tool. It's just
Faisal, do you mind muting your microphone? Faisal, can you mute your microphone? Go ahead, Jennifer, please.
AI is a tool, just like a kitchen knife is a tool. A kitchen knife is great for the chef to cut up the food. A kitchen knife could be used very negatively to stab the co-chef. The challenge for us as people, I believe, as people, as individuals, And that's what we around this table, shall we say, are people. And what we can do is we can be discerning in how we use AI, in how we choose to use it, in how we look at it, in how we train, empower, encourage others around us to use it positively. So first, let's start with ourselves and set a good example of using the tool correctly. Secondly, let's support the various initiatives and programs that are coming into place to drive standards, to drive some regulations, because it is on a broad scale, AI in society unleashed is new. So it is a wild, wild west where there aren't any real regulations. Those are starting to come into place. And personally, I'm very touched and I feel very positive to see that despite the competitiveness of Silicon Valley, all of the large organizations, the Googles, the Facebooks, the Microsofts, the OpenAI, the Apples, the Amazons are all coming together, working together around standards and regulations. And just in the last week, what we saw with the somewhat debacle of the board of OpenAI, I think that raised a lot of questions of the two sides, because the outing, if you will, of Sam Altman came down to the good versus the bad. Which side is he on? So I think we just, right now, we need to all be cognizant, we need to be discerning, and we need to be very supportive of the organizations that are building those regulations. Avoiding the topic is, in my opinion, not a way forward. We need to be a part of building the solution in a positive way.
I could chime in my 2 cents,
Please.
Virginia. I'm more black and white about the whole thing. And that is that the whole principle around AI and where we're going, and when I get to my presentation, I'll talk about your personal AI assistant. There's no way you or I could stop someone else to train their personal AI assistant to be really bad. It's a competition of, this person's personal AI versus this person's AI. That's where we're going. You could do all the ethics you want, but we are pushing the industry, we're pushing to the consumer their own personal AI assistant, and it's going to reflect you, your schedule, your agenda, your beliefs, your ethics, your morals. And guess what? If you're a messed up person, that's not a very nice AI. So it's going to be hard. It's going to be really, really hard to stop that. But the positive picture is, because AI is able to take into account almost infinite number of variables, we'll be able to improve the environment. We'll be able to diagnose diseases quicker, faster. So we will get all those advancements as well. So it's not so negative. There's a lot of beauty to it too, right? But there are some scenarios we're not going to be able to stop, because it is based on self-customization that people could do in the privacy of their home, making their AI agent an amplified version of who they are and their beliefs. And that's just the way the tech is going. Right. Anybody else? Virginia, do you have more questions? Anybody else? Any more questions or reflections from Jennifer's presentation?
I just ask, in Europe, they are trying to limit AI in safety related questions. They rather go deterministic, because you're going to have to look at the worst case scenarios and not do average, which AI does. Where do you see that discussion going? Do you think it's going to be deterministic in safety cases, or do you go AI like a medium? Does that make sense?
It does. And I mean, I would suggest that in the short term, while we do not have any real standards or regulations in the short term, where there is true security risk, stick with the existing, stick with the deterministic. If it's working, don't change it. But in doing that, look for maybe there are other areas that are not as high security, not as sensitive. Let's begin to experiment with where AI could speed processes in those other areas. It's all about starting small. Start small, explore, and then move forward.
Okay, so my twist on that is with an example. Last week, a startup who was working with cancer doctors, oncologists in the US, they released the AI, and they gave the AI, it was very interesting, they gave the AI the person's blood work, they gave the person's DNA results, so you would look at the gene, and all the person's background information. The AI did not interview the person, but it just looked at it from a data point of view.
Mm-hmm.
The AI was able to come back and say that this person, they found it had a 98 point something% chance of having a certain type of cancer and something. The doctor, what I thought was fantastic was the doctor looked at it and said, I have no chance at all to look at all this data and all these possibilities and to come to this conclusion, but I could take the conclusion from the AI and then sit down with the person and go, how are you today? And ask specific questions, looking at the conclusion that the AI gave, and ask questions to the person in real life and help them. And so what happened was this group of doctors said that the way the AI is leaving the AI deterministic, letting the AI go as far as it can, it made them better doctors, because they said, we looked at it as an assistant. And now when I talk to a person, I could spend my time talking about much more exact things and ask much better questions versus, how are you today? Right? Because when I have the AI result, I know how you are today, and I can ask specific questions. Have you had some pressure on your right lower lung while breathing? Right? And not even the doctor's never met that patient. So in some examples is great. Let the AI go ballistic, and other examples, tell the AI, don't go so too nuts. It's all depending upon situation, person, purpose, company. There is no A-B. There's going to be A-B-C-D and infinite. People are going to play with it all sorts of ways.
Which is why we as people need to be more discerning. We need to use our minds more while we leverage the AI to do the basic stuff that is not so dependent upon human intelligence and empathy. Faisal.
Yes, sorry, I just I didn't realize that my microphone was on when you have
No worries.
in digital transformations world. Now that's what I was thinking is about when you talk about AI, we seem to maybe focus on AI as a single entity. Shouldn't we think more as a holistic approach? Because every organization or country have lots of solutions or lots of technology which we are using as per se. How are we going to use AI in that perspective? What AI will change in our ecosystem as a technology? What kind of consequences it has? And also when you mentioned about the ethical analysis, but ethical analysis is not just for AI, it is also part of other technologies. We need to do that digital ethics analysis. We need to do the data ethics, what is maybe more important, because what AI will do is input is data, output is data. So how are we going to include data ethic in that as a kind of whole and as a holistic perspective? I don't know, what do you think about it? It's kind of one very often when I talk about AI in my workplace, and I work in defense industry, and is very sensitive, and how we're going to use, and very often we kind of talk AI as a single entity. We need to think about AI as a part of the whole processes and whole technology and infrastructure and platform we have as part today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a tool. It's like writing. It's a way of doing things, and it does require very strong, appropriate data set in order to work. So Thomas, why don't you answer, then share your perspectives?
Sure. We're at such an early stage of AI that we're calling it AI, and as if it's a standalone item. It's embarrassing because in 20 years from now, we'll always say, no, I never talked about it that way. Because if I give you an example, do you remember, okay, if only those of you who are as old as I am, do you remember the first time Microsoft Excel was on the market, and then, you know, the first spreadsheet? And people said, did you run it by the spreadsheet? Did you run through your spreadsheet? When the last time you had somebody ask you that question? Decades. Of course you run it through it doesn't even talk about it.
Yeah.
So we're just so early that we talk about it as if it's a standalone. It is just a tool, and in actuality, it's just an algorithm and code that will run in parallel in the background at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so new. We're talking about it as if it's, you know, we could touch it and feel it, but it's just code that's going to be embedded into everything else, right? So, great question. Let me share my presentation, and please interrupt me or ask questions. Great questions, and I will share with you my thoughts on where are we going. And please let me know when you can see my slide deck.
Yep, we're good.
You're good? Okay. I can't see anything. There we go. Okay, so we're good. You can see it? Perfect.
Yep.
Wonderful. So what I'm going to do, what I'm going to talk about, this slide, I'm just giving you a half of a part of a presentation I've done. The entire presentation is called Embrace the Infinite, Navigating a World of Possibilities. And what I like to do is just talk about where we're going in terms of technology. I'm just going to give you the technology part of this presentation and look at my crystal ball and say, all the US leaders, this is what's going to happen in the short term and long term, but all the examples I'm going to give you absolutely will affect your life, business and personal. So with that, let's jump in. So one of the things I want to start off with was our buddy, right? The mobile phone. So the mobile phone, super important to all of us. And as you all know, for the last few years, the latest version of the iPhone or any phone out there is always about the number of pixels, how great the camera is. That's going to be another one of those things that in a few years from now, you know, we're going to be embarrassed and all that stuff, because 2024 is the year that mobile phones, if we look at Apple, let's pick on Apple. Apple's always talking about, you know, get an Apple phone with not just 2 lenses, but you can have an Apple phone with 3 lenses in the back, right? With live video, with 4K, 8K, all about video. That's dead, or will be dead in 2024. Why? AI. What the mobile industry will push and embed in mobile phones starting in January, or starting actually, yeah, you'll see it in phones coming in Q1, Q2, the new next generation, is AI chipsets, AI chips in the mobile phone. So the marketing will be going forward is buy, what is up to iPhone 15 now? So I guess next one's 16. So the iPhone 16 will be, the iPhone 16 comes with your own personal AI assistant that does the following, this, that, this, that. So this is a huge change in where we're going. We all understand, obviously, how important our mobile phones are to us. But now the mobile phone, it will have a chip with AI embedded. So the processing, the LLMs are all going to be done locally, so that that mobile phone is a reflection of you. And there is an absolute war there. And this is really important to understand, that if you thought, as Jennifer really eloquently showed, in the last year, we saw the growth of ChatGPT has how it exploded. That's one, they started off as non-for-profit and now they're for profit. They're confusing. They don't know who they are. But imagine now, not even imagine, this AI chipset war that's going to go into everybody's mobile phone is backed by AMD, Intel, Apple, Snapdragon. They're all in to give you your personal AI assistant that we've been talking about on this discussion. So if you look at the bottom of this presentation, this is some important dates. And I know chipsets is not interesting, but it's going to give you an indication of where we're going. So this is really cool. Intel, their Meteor Lake chip that's going to be announced next month, released to market. It got leaked 2 days ago. This is so crazy. It got leaked 2 days ago, their functionality. All the competitors have absolutely gone berserk because Intel is Intel, we all know Intel from what they were, and today they're boring, they fell behind. Their Intel Meteor Lake chip with the AI, it is the equivalent of what AMD and Intel and Snapdragon have on their roadmap for 2026. It's going to be launched in December, which is what, 3 days from now? That's how advanced that version of our AI personal assistant will be coming in 2 or 3 days from now. I mean, the other competitor is saying, how did Intel leapfrog so many years ahead of us? So if you thought the acceleration of AI with ChatGPT coming to you, so easily, the speed at which and the functionality that AI will be able to give you, your personal AI assistant, like a virtual self for you, is going to be in your mobile phone, will happen so fast and so rapidly and so intimately in terms of, God, this thing is as if it's a virtual, this thing as if it's a virtual version of me. We're going to see that in 2024. Super, super exciting. And yeah, faster than ChatGPT. I've been talking about the personal AI assistant. But by the way, just go back one slide. The pictures in my slide deck were all created by DALL-E 2. So I told DALL-E, this is what this slide's all about, and it created these images. So including this image as well, all created by AI.
So
Thomas, your slides aren't
have not
progressing.
moved.
I'm sorry?
Your slides aren't progressing,
Yeah.
at least on my screen.
Not for any of us. You're exactly right, Victoria. Yeah.
How about that one?
Now we're on future predictions.
Wow, it didn't, okay. Really? Okay, that was the slide I was just talking about. For some
Yep.
reason, all right, so this is the one I moved to now. Thank you for telling me.
There we go.
I have no idea why that's happening. On my screen, I got a full screen. Oh, sorry. So thank you for telling me. So on this slide here, as you can see, as I just said a moment ago, the images was created by AI. So I've, in the previous slide that you never saw, that I talked about, I talked about the personal AI assistant, right? This is let me give you an example of personal AI assistant, because you have to understand that what I'm talking about, this is not future, this is actually done already, and this is what the experience will be. Your personal AI assistant, based on this AI chipset that's in your mobile phone, it's going to be able to access your calendar, your doctor's schedule, your doctor's calendar, your gym membership, your boyfriend, girlfriend's calendar, your wife's calendar, your husband's calendar, if you know what I mean. Friends and family will go into your Tinder account. It's going to access everything about you. And then when you need to book an appointment, let's say you need to have a business meeting. Say I'm going to have a business meeting with Jennifer. When Jennifer and I were setting up this call today, we contacted each other, say, hey, how about let's meet on Monday, 4 o'clock. Okay, you got an opening? Yeah, I got an opening. That disappears. What happens now is my AI assistant is going to talk to Jennifer's AI assistant, and everything's going to happen in the background. My AI assistant is going to talk to my doctor's AI assistant, and they're going to make an appointment. What's going to happen is we're going to have different layers of society. We're going to have our layer of society. Then we're going to have this personal AI assistant layer of society, and they're all going to talk to each other. And I thought that was a cool, when I told DALL-E 2 to create a drawing based on personal AI assistants talking to each other, it came out with this picture. I thought it was kind of cool. 2 AI assistants talking at the bus stop, kind of cute. This is where we will have this functionality somewhere around Q3 of 2024, where our personal AI assistants will be talking to other AI assistants, allowing us to play tennis and do whatever. But in the background, it's going to be negotiating and moving things around to optimize our life. This is not Twilight Zone. This is actually here. Did the slide move now?
Yes.
Awesome. Another prediction, if you understand the personal AI assistant thing, which is really important, and I know it's a little bit futuristic, but it's actually here. If you understand that your own personal AI assistant is able to look at your entire life and to manage it, then with the ability of AI to take into account so many variables, then shouldn't there be an personal AI assistant for each country? Think about that. Then wouldn't then the United Nations, couldn't we replace the United Nations? Instead of having people, like in the picture, you have like iPads or personal AI assistants. Think about trade negotiations. If the United States wanted to trade, let's say, with Norway, Norway has oil, fish, it has its own export, imports. It has quite a number of variables for 5 million people. United States, 350 million people, different industries. To negotiate trade agreements, that is very complex. But when you have two AIs negotiating with all those different variables, it's not as complex. It happens in seconds, and everything can be at parity. This world we're going to, with all the conflicts we have, with all the world wars, yes, we could use AI to solve the world wars. Will that probably happen? No, because human beings, we seem to like war a little bit too much. Non-political statement. But it will, what my point is that we're going to see company A talking to company B and finding agreements, and M&A will start to explode because of personal AI assistants talking to personal AI assistants, or let's call it corporate AI assistant representing Microsoft talking to this startup's corporate AI assistant. They find an agreement, there's an M&A, there's a merger, there's something. This is where business is going. And when businesses realize that when they have their corporate AI assistant representing them, there's going to be an ecosystem, a marketplace where corporations, personal AI assistants will talk to other corporation AI assistants. And we're going to have this other digital layer of corporate AI assistants working and negotiating and doing business while us humans are down here doing what we do. This is where we're going.
What will we be doing as humans, Thomas?
I'm sorry?
What will we humans be doing?
What did you do during the whole lockdown? As human beings will do what human beings do. Some of us will advance and take advantage of it. Other of us will relax. The inquisitive people will be inquisitive. The lazy people will be lazy. But we will be, though many of us will be taking what these negotiations and outcomes and doing something with it, and then the AI will take that and process it back to that layer, come up with some new thing, and it's just like this cycle. Right.
So what will start conflicts in the future is bugs and bad data security?
You know, it's interesting you say that. I just saw a movie last weekend, and it was a movie where the world had given the power to the AI, and the AIs were running all over the world with robotics, and also to defend the world. So they had this ship that was flying around the world to make sure there was no world wars. And the world had been at peace for 7 years. There was no world wars. And then all of a sudden one day, the ship, when it was over Los Angeles, it dropped a nuclear bomb right in Los Angeles and killed people. And then the world, the human beings all then said, kill all the robots, kill AI. We can't trust them. They're trying to kill us. By the end of the movie, they realized that the AIs never did anything. It was a human error in coding that dropped the bomb. Interesting. When you said that, you reminded me, and when I saw the movie, I was like, wow, we have to be really careful about the separation. And also, we still humans control a lot of what the AIs do. And we make a lot of errors. And in the movie, they were highlighting one thing. The human being who coded, who made one little error in code was the reason why a nuke was dropped. So thanks for, I hope that I answered your question.
But
That's discernment.
I'm sorry?
but I think we also need to think about, when we're talking about the security, I think security is kind of, again, is kind of a meta level. We need to go into the beta level, what is more about what is the quality of the data. Because if we don't have the right quality of the data, which AI will use, then we don't have the right decision or the right choice. So how are we going to kind of ensure that the data which will be used in AI, they have the right quality with the right specification and with the right name, so AI can use them to make the better kind of supporting decision for us as a human beings. And another point, which is also kind of security part, is security is, yes, there could be bugs and there could be someone can hack system. It can happen for any type of system. It's not just only AI, but kind of the problem part of AI is if we have the wrong data, embedded in the platform, and that data is being used in several times in iterations, then we already making layer of decisions and actions which is based on wrong data, and there's a consequence over consequences which will be kind of wrong. How are we going to prevent that will be the kind of challenging, and that's why we need to focus on, I think, as a human being.
Yeah, you're nailing an excellent scenario. We have it was garbage in, garbage out, right, when it comes to data. And it's truly, that is a fundamental thing. So this rush to AI, and not even the rush, you can even question where we are today with ChatGPT, Google Bard, Claude, and everything. What were the quality of the data sets they used, right? And what was the mindset of the developer that day that he or she wrote that algorithm? Were they pissed off? Did they have a fight with their boyfriend and girlfriend? All these things are factored into coding, and as well as the quality of the data. I remember working with a hospital many years ago, talking to them about, diagnosing, using AI for cancer diagnosis. And they said that their patient journal data was excellent. And so we looked at it, and what we found was in one simple column where it was blood pressure, right? It's I'm just making up a number. Let's say 160 over 80. Let's say it's normal. I'm not sure. The number there in that column where it should have been, the diastolic over I forgot with the two numbers, it was actually inverted.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's 160 then 80. Other times the doctor had put in 80 over 160. Another time a doctor had put 160 in the field, and then the next field 80. It was the data just for blood pressure. It was inconsistent and bad data. And they had hundreds of rows of data, if not thousands of rows of data. But just in that blood pressure column alone, just when we looked at that, he was embarrassed. I wasn't trying to prove him wrong. I was telling him, human beings, you have to look at your processes, your normal process and governance as you run your company, and you have to redo them so that from this day on forward, their data is much cleaner. And you have to look at data as it's going to clean it as much as possible and make your people think about data as life and death. And then you have to start another process and going back in the future, going to the past and clean your data that way. Your point about the quality of data cannot be emphasized 100%, because what we build on today, if the data is bad, the outcome will be horrendous. Jennifer, do you want to interject?
Yeah, just to echo that is really the role of people as we go into this society. We can't just simply avoid it because it will grow of its own accord. Leaders need to be intelligent to understand the types of data structures that are needed, the types of prompts, the types of interactions that we can have with the tool, and put the extra energy into the diligence of the quality of the data, but also be very discerning of what level of decision making the AI can make. I mean, personally, I would not want the tool to be deciding whether I acquire a company or not. I would want the tool to give me the data behind it and the analysis and some predictions of what would happen if we acquire or don't acquire. But I personally believe the human needs to be making the decisions and needs to be doing those final negotiations.
Absolutely.
I wonder also about that on the same level, because even the data going in, we can say it's a black and white data point, but there are value creation or value coloring to different data. I mean, you just look at that stupid dress example a couple of years ago, where some people saw black and blue dress and other people saw gold and white dress. And so there was a value judgment, perceptional judgment on the data that we as individuals don't. How are we going to address that in our data streams going in for the AI to be reliable? And it's just another layer of this that I come back with Jennifer to. I'm going to want to make those decisions based on the data I get out and how much I believe the data. But then we are undermining, in a way, the value of the AI decision-making process by substituting our judgment for what we've said was factual basis of AI decision making.
Yeah, if I can just comment on that, is when we talk about the decision making, is several factors we need to think about. AI is a tools, as several of you mentioned, and it lives in its own world. So that means it has a monoculture. But when you work in an organization, there is lots of different backgrounds, lots of different people from different countries. They're different engineers or subject matters experts, and those things is not. Those are the kind of the positive part of the human beings, that we can take into consideration those multicultural layers.
Yes.
AI doesn't have that multicultural layer. It has its
Completely
monoculture.
agree.
It's embedded in a system, and that system is its own environment. So we need to also think about how we can then, as a leader, I think you mentioned, Jennifer, as a leader for an organization, we need to think about how we're going to develop an organization which will have focus on data culture. What means we need to have the quality on the data. We need to make sure that what we deliver have the right quality, so Jennifer can do her job, what is needed to be done.
Yep.
And in addition, we need to be good at asking questions. Do we have leaders which are good at that? That they can ask the right questions, which also will help the AI to develop further, if you think about machine learning and further. And another part is that we also need to have leaders who also understand not only the human part of the interaction and the connection and the kind of dependencies. They also need to understand the technical part of the language. What does it mean when AI comes with the suggestions and the backgrounds, how it will reflect? So I think we need to also take into that kind of things, and we need to develop that leadership in the organization which can help us to push in that direction. That is just my reflection, I think.
Completely agree. We as humans, along with AI, are slowly co-creating this future, in my opinion. And we need to play our role. So Thomas, we should let you share the last bits that you wanted to share with us, because I am cognizant we're coming up to the top of the hour.
Yeah, that's, I'll cut out the videos that I have left. But one quick reflection, and that is that he's 100% right, and your answer proves that you don't have to invest in AI to be an AI company. Invest in your culture. Get your culture right now.
Yeah.
You could do that, and that's almost free. And once you get your culture right, and then you implement AI using AI tools, you'll be much better off. And that's absolutely the way you should do it. So to quickly run through, I'll give you 2 more examples and I will be done, because yes, we're down to minutes. So what I want to also bring to your attention is Neuralink. If you haven't heard about it, it's an Elon Musk company. And Neuralink is putting chips into the brain. And we've been hearing about this for years, but there's no more hype. The first human being with a human chip will be a gentleman. They've selected him, or he signed the agreement. So he'll be the first one. And he will be chipped in December. So that's in 3 more days. So sometime next month, or maybe 7 days from now. And he's a paraplegic. He had a car accident. He's paralyzed from the neck down. And what they will do is they will put a chip in his brain. They'll put another chip in his hip. And so when his brain thinks about move the left leg, they will replace the spinal cord using wireless signals, and he'll be able to walk. That was why Neuralink created this chip. But this chip actually has an AI supercomputer built into it. It has Bluetooth capability, so that is able to log into the nearest mobile phone with 5G and then to connect to the cloud. And because it has instant connectivity, if you have a chip, everything you see, think, experience will be recorded on a hard drive. And the video that I was going to play with Elon Musk, he talks about this. And this is, when I say future, this is 3 days, because the first human is going to be chipped in December. So this is not so much future as it is really tomorrow. And this is real. And it's so real. So I'll skip this video. This is so real that I took this screenshot here of Neuralink's website. You, any one of you in this call, or your children can sign up to go for a clinical trial and chip yourself or your kid. Now, why do I say children? Because we're human beings and none of us want our kids to be the dumbest kid in the class. And those parents who have financial means, they will chip their kid, and now their kid will have the ability to speak 50 languages, get perfect grades, get all the scholarships, and all of a sudden your kid's going to come home every day being more and more frustrated, crying, I'm the dumbest person in the school, and peer pressure. This is the reality that we're going to be in. And if you go to the website, you can sign up right now. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to tell you, this is it. This is where we are. And this also changes business, because you're going to be interviewing your job someone who, let's say you interview somebody who has a degree from MIT, very nice woman. Then you have another person that comes in, another woman, she can speak 50 languages, she has 7 PhDs, who are you going to hire? And that's only because she's chipped. By the way, the cost of the Neuralink chip, their plan is to be at just as expensive as the LASIK surgery for your eye cataracts.
Yeah.
It's different. Yeah. That's around, I don't know, it's really cheap. The price is dropping. Their plan is to be the same price as a LASIK surgery, and you're in and out in 2 hours with the chipping. And it's all done by a computer, no human being. So they're going to set up a production line because they assume that many people want to be chipped and be cyberhuman. This is coming to you on December 1st. Well,
You heard it here first.
Exactly. And the last thing, and again, I'll skip the video, but I think it's something you should be aware of. Looking into the future, metaverse is very real. It is something that will take a little time to come online and really make its impact. But Meta or Facebook has invested $33 billion in its current version of the Quest 3, the picture you see here with the headset. Just in the current version headset, they invested $33 billion to build a headset and the metaverse. Apple's invested $15 billion. When these big corporations make that type of investment, it's going to change everything. And if we have time, we'll play the video and you would see that it's literally, it looks better than what we're seeing right now over Zoom, because you see all the texture and it's 3-dimensional. It's mind-boggling, and it's going to change everything. If we thought gaming and what was it, esports was huge, it's like that versus what the metaverse is going to do to us. And that's going to affect us on the personal side, obviously, but very much on the business side as well. So with that, I am going to stop sharing here.
So Thomas, I'm envisioning a day when we will, not too far in the future, when we will all have our chips, we will all have our duplicate twins, and we may not even need the meta glasses. Our chips may just simply, over a Web3 powered by quantum computing environment, just allow us to be wherever we want to be, doing whatever we want to do with whomever we want.
Quantum, I did want to touch about quantum because quantum's 3 to 5 years away. And by the way, the big news that broke this morning, I wrote it down as a note. One of the things that was, remember the big debacle you were saying, Jennifer, with OpenAI and the whole massive thing? One of the things that happened in there, they said there was a secret that happened that nobody wants to talk about. Well, it broke this morning what it was. OpenAI's secret project was called Q, or is called Q. What it did was scared everybody was it broke all levels of encryption. So if this rumor is true, encryption is dead. And they didn't use a quantum computer. If you use quantum with this stuff, I mean, it's, really. So things are moving extremely fast from a technical point of view. And from all of you on this call, as a leader, please spend time researching and trying to stay up with the news, but at the same time reflecting on what should I do? This stuff is moving too fast to sit back and go, oh, it's not going to affect me. It is. And I really beg you guys to think about it and reflect on it, and also reach out to Jennifer and myself if you like, and we'll get discussed with you and help you out as well. Boris, you have the last question because we're over time and we want to respect everybody's time.
It was
ahead.
not a question, it was a thumbs up
Oh,
for the last comment about this is moving really fast. You should jump on the train.
I love the perfect voice, and maybe your depiction there answers Guy's question of what will surprise us the most when maybe we look even more like Boris does here, and we get even more in sync, and we could speak
No.
millions of languages here together.
but if I just showed you the video, with a meta, Boris's thing is not it. It's actually what you look like, Jennifer, but in it's freaky. It is so real. You just want to spend more time there.
So put on
Tina-
the video. I'm ready for improvements.
Yeah, then for those that need to jump off, you're welcome to jump off. I mean, do reach out to Thomas and I if you enjoyed this in any way. We are considering doing these on a somewhat regular basis. And Tina has her hand up, and good question to send a link for the video. Tina. You're
on
muted.
mute. No, Tina, we still don't hear you. Tina, we don't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah, I was something, I forgot about my microphone. But anyway, the last example you mentioned, Thomas, what company was behind that will really revolutionary the encrypting stuff? I missed the company you mentioned.
OpenAI.
OpenAI, the founders.
Oh,
of
it was just,
ChatGPT.
I don't mean it's a little, but it wasn't a specific company. I see.
Yeah, it's just the secret project.
The next, yeah.
That made everybody freak out and why he quit and all that.
Yeah.
So, and one last thing I wrote down that I want to share everybody. And, we doing technology news is like it changes every hour, but I wanted to scare everybody because it pissed me off because I've been following this and it's now reaching mainstream media. And just to tell all of you, there's a new virus in China. Have you heard? Is not hit the mainstream media, but I just saw it now on Twitter exploding. This new virus is killing people and they're starting to shut down cities throughout all of China. Have we heard this before? They've implemented the lockdown, they've implemented masks, and they implemented the social distancing all over again. And it started in China before. I don't mean to ruin everybody's day. But again, as business leaders, we've seen this before recently. Knowing that, I think it started in November 3-4 years ago, right? And then we knew it all kicked in. What was it? February, March in the Nordic countries. What do you do as a business leader now? If this thing is going that way, well, how do you plan it? Knowing with all the technology we have, okay, it's not the same as before because we do a lot of things. Start thinking this way. Just don't go into the holiday saying, oh, I can't wait to relax. No, we got some stuff happening. Stay ahead of the game and you will do very well during whatever's coming in 2024. 2024 could be a very tumultuous year because of financial markets or whatever and all that. I always say if you're ahead of the game, it becomes like feel like you're dancing. Da, 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 it can be fun because you're connecting the dots and also talk to a lot of people, ask questions, and as long as you stay ahead of the game, you and your company will do very well. If you lay back and go, oh, I need a break while everything's going crazy, it's going to be hard to recover.
Mm-hmm. And just for those that would like possibly the recording of today or any of the slide materials, video, just send me an email. I can collect the email addresses and then we can send things out to you a little more effectively that way than sometimes through LinkedIn.
Yeah, I will post a video on my YouTube channel, then we could just send out the link from YouTube so everybody could share it or whatever. Are there any other questions, any reflections, please? And does anybody want to share their own opinion? Please, we're all experts, so go right ahead.
Well, I think we could probably talk on this for hours and hours. So I'm going to hold most of my comments back for now. But,
no.
Yeah. Just for now, one step at a time. I think there's a lot that we all still need to learn and need to share. And I really appreciate the forum that you've set up today. Jennifer, I would love to see this. Thomas, I'd love to see this on a weekly basis, if even. But it's getting into the practical sides of this. We've really skimmed the surface here today, but getting deeper into the practicalities of how consultants can assist leaders doing this, because in-house, most organizations do not have the knowledge base they need to implement most of these systems, most of these changes, both the cultural side, but also the technical side. And we're short on the technical engineers and all of the technical people we need to do that. So AI is going to be writing a lot of our code, a lot of our technical changes. But I just want to say thank you for today.
So
Thank you.
if I could
Likewise, thank you, Thomas, and thank you, Jennifer. I think mainly comment, sort of tongue in cheek, really is. I think I need a stiff drink to, and you're a couple of hours ahead of me, Thomas. I think to do that, but I think it's great to be aware of these things, and yeah, thank you for your time, and it's been really good.
Steve, if you're
Thank
in
you
your
so much.
office and you're taking a drink behind your desk, just tell the boss it was Thomas's fault. Thomas and Jennifer, okay? It's all our fault.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank
And
you.
just one quick thing to just what I said before. The changes that are coming, the first change, and I think Faisal was talking about it, do the cultural part first.
Yeah.
Do the cultural part first. Invest in consultants who help to update your culture, modify new leadership. Do you have the right leadership who are willing to take risks? I think we've lost the ability to take risks. The last 11 years, the stock market going up, so many leaders said, oh, look what I've done. Look, we've so much profits. And now all of a sudden, you need a new culture, you need new leadership. Do that part. Please do that part.
Mhm.
Then when you do the AI, it'll be so much better. There's no excuse. Don't worry about the AI train now. Fix your culture, work on leadership, and have more sessions where people are talking. I think it's really important that people talk more. We lost that ability during COVID. We became little islands and uncomfortable with seeing each other. God forbid you hug somebody today. It's like all of a sudden, it's so strange. What happened, right? Talk, share, interact, look at people in their eye. You'll be a much better person for it.
And that's both internally within your company, but also your customers.
Yeah.
Each of us need to be aware that our customers are probably as scared as you may be. And they are as uncertain. It's a great opportunity to really take a leadership role with them, setting yourself apart while also understanding where do they want you to go, because we are building this together.
Yeah. Well said, Jennifer.
And it starts with people.
Big kudos to both of you, Jennifer and Thomas. And just 2 cents from my side and takeaways from my side is that it is a journey. It has started already. We're behind the curve. And let's take one step at a time, and we'll eventually get to the United Nations 2.0, like you presented, right? So it's and I think that the headline should be "It's a journey," but you have to start now because you already started. So thank you so much. It was super inspiring, and I'm looking forward for the next session of this.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining.
Same here.
Yeah, thank you all. We talked about having our next section in January, so to respect everybody's Christmas. So we'll send up an invite for January. Thank you all for your time.
Yes.
Really, thank you all. It's your time that you gave, and we look forward to doing this again. And big hug. I'm not afraid to give you a hug, so big hug to all of you.
Merry Christmas.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yeah, be the first. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you. It was
Thank
an
you.
hour well spent.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.